Are you often accused and slandered of having the palate of an 8-year-old just because you like chicken tenders? You might be due compensation. Or you could show your hating ass haters this delicious truffle honey chicken tenders with mashed red potatoes. Impress everyone who thinks you need a 401k plan and your own car to be an adult when you tell them how you use 11 spices for the breading. 11 whole spices in your cabinet. I'd put that on my resume. And we're topping it with some truffle honey because that sounds fancy, and serving some steakhouse red potatoes alongside it. Starting out, we need to make a quick buttermilk brine for our chicken tenders. It's going to help tenderize the meat and bring some flavor into it as well. I've got about 1.5 pounds of chicken tenders and I'm pouring over just enough buttermilk to cover them. Then I'll add in about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of Louisiana Hot sauce. Give that a mixing and that's it. That's your brine. Now you can also add seasonings to this, but we'll be getting our 11 herbs and spices on later, so I'm not going to do it now. So let's let this go for about 4 hours, but it's even better overnight. And maybe just midway through, we'll give it a little bit of shaking just to redistribute things. Now, onto the potatoes. I'm adding 6 cups of chicken broth and 2 cups of additional water to a pot. You can go all chicken broth if you'd like. We just need enough to make sure the potatoes are covered. And that broth is going to add some flavor into our potatoes as well. Speaking of, I've got 5 pounds of red potatoes that I'll quarter up, leaving the skin on because that's some good nutrition on those to make us feel good for eating all this fried fat shit I've been making lately. And that's plenty of time to get our broth and water boiling. Except then you discover after all that cutting that the flame on your stove went out and that the broth never heated up. So while we restart the process, we might as well make our flour mixture. Now I want to say that there are a ton of breading ways out there, from dredging an egg to dipping in panko, limitless options, and they're all good honestly. I'm going with a semi KFC style breading because I want the truffle honey to be the star of the show. Also, this is a great way to rid yourself of some soon to be expired seasonings because I had a lot. And yes, you should check your cabinets at least once a year because you'll be surprised at that oregano that's been expired since 2016 sitting in the back of your cabinet. So we're going 2 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of celery salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, 1 teaspoon of ginger powder, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of accent, aka MSG. I know that's a lot, but these are some great seasonings to have around anyway. And listen, if I'm being honest, I had to fight the urge to add some basil and rosemary in there, okay? Might be worth it, but again, I want the truffle honey to shine. Mix that flour mixture up, and just as a word of advice, you can taste your flour once you've seasoned it to see if the flavors you want are represented. It'll have the usual gross flour taste at first, of course, but then all that seasoning should quickly come through and you can get an idea of what you'll get. It won't be exactly the taste, but you can at least make sure it's not under seasoned. Then we'll get our chicken out of the fridge and take a few tablespoons of that buttermilk hot sauce brine into our flour mixture so we can create some crunchy, craggly pieces that'll stick to our tenders. It's like those ridges and crispy bumps you see on chicken tenders that are just so delicious. Then we'll take our tenders and dredge them through, making sure to give them a good squeeze, then maybe dredge again, squeeze, and shake off the excess flour. We want every bit of that surface area covered with flour, so the squeezing is important. Once you've done all that, and again shaking off the excess flour, place it on a sheet pan while we work on the rest of them. We also want to give our flour some time to hydrate, so letting it hang out for about 10 minutes after you finish dredging them is perfect. Which by now we can add our potatoes to the boiling water and broth along with 5 whole cloves of garlic and let it cook until the potatoes are fork tender, about 10 to 15 minutes depending on your heat settings. To prevent splashing, I'm just using this spider to slowly lower them into the water, and just let the potatoes go until they're soft enough to mash, and those garlic cloves will get mashed in it as well. So the time is up, get those potatoes drained and let them cool for about 5 minutes. Then before any smashing takes place, we'll add in 4 ounces of cream cheese, 1/2 cup of salted butter, and 1/2 cup of whole milk, or you can use buttermilk if you have some left over from earlier. It'll give it a nice tang. I like to think this helps lubricate the potatoes while I'm doing the smashing. Of course, somebody who actually went to cooking school will probably say that's completely made up, to which I reply, touche. Once we've got a good general mashing done, we'll add in an initial teaspoon of salt. Now, you are going to need way more salt than this, but this is just an initial to see where we're going. Taste, and you'll notice it's not really popping like that. So from there, we'll salt some more, we'll taste, we'll salt some more, and we'll taste. We want this to almost taste like a Lay's potato chip. And I don't want to give you a specific amount because I don't want to create the false sense of security that a tablespoon or something, whatever measurement I thought there, of salt is enough for your needs. You really just got to taste until it's good. But this is a great way to appreciate the power of salt. It's often the thing we're missing from recipes the most. So once you've got the potatoes salted to your liking, and if you want to add any other seasonings or maybe some more butter, by all means go for it. Even some Parmesan cheese would be good.
Set the potatoes aside and get your oil heated up to 350 degrees, whether it's in a deep fryer like me or in a Dutch oven. And our tenders should be well hydrated by now, so we can just pop those suckers into the oil and let them fry for about 6 minutes, or until they reach an internal temperature of 165. Now these went a little over, but it's okay because that buttermilk brine will keep it nice and juicy. But ideally you don't want to cook anything related to chicken breast over 165. So once the time is up or the temperature has been checked, get your chicken out and immediately hit it with some salt. Remember, fried things always need some salt, and I got this flaky sea salt here. And then we can just plate, and here is the special part, the truffle honey. Now you're probably like, yo John, where's the sauce? Well, we don't have to make it because it's already done. That's right, you just buy a small jar on Amazon or see if your local store has it, and then that's it. Slather that bad boy on. Now I'm going all gentle and shit for presentation, but don't be scared. Or you can put it on the side and dip the tenders in it if you're worried about using too much and being overpowered with truffle. It's so good, and it's great on other things like crackers. And that's it. You can throw some parsley on there for color if you want to, or just dig right on in. And of course, there's no better pour choice than adult grape juice, aka wine. Hey, this is Pour Choices Kitchen. We have a Patreon link down in the description, and we also have memberships available on YouTube. The difference between the two is on Patreon, we only ask for $1, but you can change it to whatever you want it to be, whether it's $5 or $10 or however much you want to give. And you can change it monthly as well. YouTube is just a direct $2.99. And since I'm getting ready to enter a lovely period of unemployment, I'll probably be doing some members only stuff, Patreon only stuff, just to show my gratitude towards everyone who has been donating for all these months and years. I really do appreciate it. And that money goes a long way for paying for recipes, especially in these unemployed and inflated times. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Tell me how you like the truffle honey. I don't think a lot of people have had it before, but I definitely want to hear your feedback on this. Drop it all in the comments, and I'll see you all soon.